Hey everyone, as you can see, I'm not at the setup because, well, it's not been set up yet. But anyway, I don't really make this known enough, but I'm not afraid to admit that I am a huge Transformers fan at heart. My introduction was Beast Wars. I watched the G1 cartoon on repeat as a kid. Grew up watching Cybertron, the Michael Bay films, animated. When I first heard about Transformers 1, I was definitely curious because on paper, it had a lot of things going for it, being that it was the first ever animated Transformers film since the 1986 movie. It was the first time getting a big screen adaptation of the upbringing of Optimus Prime and Megatron, and is the first feature film set entirely on Cybertron. I just got back from the early access screening Cinemark had, and I can safely say that Transformers 1 is pretty good. Admittedly, my expectations were a bit low because looking back, I don't think too highly of the last cinematic outings, and I don't really like the 1986 movie as much as I used to. Yep, I'm not a fan of the 86 movie, but I do love the original Michael Bay trilogy, so make of that however you will. Also, Transformers is mecha, and anyone who says otherwise is a liar and is just as bad as Sentinel Prime. I'll keep spoilers to a minimum, though I don't think it's really a spoiler to say that Megatron is a bad guy, but I'll be respectful to those who want to see it because it's not fully out yet. First act of the movie kind of needs some getting used to on my part. It definitely had that sort of modern animated kids movie feel to it, saying this as a grown man. But it wasn't anything distracting, as the characters and world building really help reel you into the story. Especially with how the chemistry between Orion Pax and D16 is handled very well. And the animation is just gorgeous on top of that. Although I will say, not used to those faces. I think it's kind of scary how they became Snapchat filters. That aside, Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry do such a wonderful job portraying their characters, as you not only feel their companionship towards one another, but also the pain that they endure as the story progresses. Granted, it's not an easy task trying to take on characters that were previously perfected by the likes of Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, but watching the movie, I had no doubt in my mind that I was hearing a young Optimus Prime and Megatron. They got them down while also being different at the same time, which just makes their performances all the more refreshing. I also thought Keegan-Michael Key's Bumblebee was pretty funny. I really enjoyed Scarlett Johansson as the headstrong Alita 1. I also really liked John Hamm's slimy as all Sentinel Prime, and Steve Buscemi's Starscream, which sounds so unreal, but somehow perfect at the same time. Anyway, as mentioned before, this movie is about how Orion Pax became Optimus Prime and how D16 became Megatron. I was always interested in their backstory across various Transformers media because it sounds almost Shakespearean when you really get down to it. You have two people who are almost like brothers to each other get split apart by the world around them, and it's just tragic. This movie, though, really nails it on the head, even if it goes a bit too fast for my personal taste. When certain revelations come to light, it really brings about this sort of grim tone that slowly starts to take center stage. Obviously, this affects all the main characters, D16 included, though for him, I wish his descent into the tyrannical Decepticon leader was a bit more gradual. The movie is already moving at a pretty brisk pace, running at about an hour and 45 minutes. I feel like another 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes easily could have been taken to kind of just flesh everyone out just a little better. But really, I'm just nitpicking here because the movie actually handles it really well. The development from D16 to Megatron really hits hard, and we really end up rooting for Orion to just make things right. And we also don't want to see D16 fall to such a level, even though it's inevitable. Maybe it's my pre-established attachment to these characters that makes it work, but I loved it. I did say the movie does get a bit kiddie earlier, but when the movie starts to lock in, it locks in. And being a longtime Transformers fan, not only did I really appreciate the story, I also had a little bit of fun picking out all sorts of background cameos in every scene. But at its core, Transformers 1 is a definite Transformers movie through and through, as it's ultimately about how war affects people, whether it's through people trying to achieve a sense of coexistence, the divisions in social class and cultures, or someone who's trying to make a difference through their own method of peace, whether or not it's universal. Which is a lot to unpack for a children's movie, I know. But at the end of the day, it's all to sell toys. And you know what? We're still buying them. If you made it this far into the video, I imagine you like giant robots. Well, I actually have a giant robot story for you, and it also happens to be about war and coexistence. You can go ahead and order your copy of Titania's Book 1, Rise of the Titans, through the link below. Signed copies are available on eBay in a limited batch, so get one as soon as you can before they run out. Shameless plug aside, I had fun with this movie, and I definitely love to see more if they ever go through with that trilogy idea that I think they might have talked about at Comic-Con or something. I'm not entirely sure, don't quote me on that. But what do you guys think? Have you seen Transformers 1? Go ahead and let me know down below. And I would like to thank my channel members and my supporters on Patreon, where if you like what you see, and if you want to get early access to videos and exclusive content, go ahead, click the link below. Other than that, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, everyone.